The Volkswagen Polo GTi has historically been one of the more refined and grown-up options in the hot hatch segment. Now there's a new one, and it brings with it the possibility of a more energetic drive compared to its predecessors. But can it fend off the excellent Fiesta ST and achieve hot hatch supremacy? Well, that's what we're going to find out today. The latest Polo GTi is noticeably sportier looking than the car that it replaces. However, it still has loads of those GTi hallmarks that people really want. We've got the red flash in the front grille, and we've got the matching red accents on the flanks too. Around the back, the rear lights have an intricate design to them, and we really like this red colour that this particular car is finished in too. Overall, it brings that premium feel, but with a slightly sportier touch. If you've sat in any of Volkswagen's latest vehicles, the interior of the Polo GTi will be instantly familiar. We've got a nice blend of good materials and solid build quality, alongside some really clear screens. However, the issues that we have with the Polo GTi's interior aren't unique to this car. There are issues that are affecting Volkswagen as a whole. These haptic steering wheel buttons, for instance, just aren't very responsive and are quite difficult to use. And it's the same issue with the heating and ventilation controls, which are semi-haptic and just don't have the reassuring click of a proper button. The screen itself is really easy to navigate, and you do get Apple CarPlay connected via a USB connection, so you can relay your phone on there easily. Elsewhere, we've got all of the traditional touches that you'd associate with a GTi, like the tartan stitching and these widely backed sports seats. It's a really nice cabin. It's just let down by some features which aren't as intuitive to use as you'd like them to be. Now, obviously, the Polo GTi is not a large car, but actually the amount of space you get sitting in the back here is very impressive. There's plenty of legroom and a good amount of knee room too, but it's the headroom that is really impressive here. I can sit here very comfortably, and I'm able to, well, stretch out a small amount. You've also got two USB-C chargers in the middle here, so you can charge your devices while you're on the road, as long as you've got a relevant adapter should you be using generic USB connections. And you have got some seat back pockets here and some, well, compact side bins for storing looser items. The person in the middle is going to be getting the short straw though. There's quite a large transmission hump and there's just not a lot of space there. So I'd put this more of as a four-seater with an optional fifth. And then when in terms of boot space, you've got 287 litres, which of course can be expanded by folding these rear seats flat. Volkswagen really isn't mucking around when it comes to the setup of the Polo GTi. We've got a 2-litre turbocharged petrol engine with 204 brake horsepower, sending all that power to the front wheels via a 7-speed dual clutch automatic gearbox. You'll get 60 in around about 6.3 seconds, and all out, the Polo will do 149 miles an hour, which is actually quite fast for a Polo. We've also got an electronic locking differential, which means that it can actively brake the front wheels to eliminate wheel spin when you're cornering. So all in all, this is quite a grown-up package. There's a lot going on here to make this car go quickly. It's also 50mm lower than the regular Polo, and you get adjustable dampers, so you can select sport or normal depending on the road surface or the type of driving you're doing to soften off or stiffen up the dampers. But how does this all work together? What kind of effect do you get? Well, this car is quite grown-up feeling. It's certainly not as engaging to drive as something like a Fiesta ST, but on the other hand, it is a lot more comfortable to live with than the Fiesta. The suspension setup, though sporty, does feel well judged for the UK's roads, and though the steering is relatively lacking in feel, it is quite accurate. You just get a slight sense of detachment from the Polo GTi. You don't feel like you're too involved with the overall driving experience. This 7-speed dual clutch gearbox does shift really smartly, but again, although it's effective, it leaves you feeling a little bit separated from the overall driving experience. It'd be nice to have a manual, and although I know that this 7-speed is going to be easier to live with, that's not always what you're looking for in a hot hatch, is it? You're not looking for the easiest car to live with. It's the car that sends a little bit of sparkle into a normal, everyday drive. Having said that, it's all about what you want to do. If you want a car that is going to really liven up some exciting roads, but have a slight hard edge to it, then you'd opt for the Fiesta ST. If you want a car that is still very quick and still very capable, but just has a slightly greater sense of comfort and refinement, then this Polo feels like the one to go for. It's also not going to be too expensive to run. You should be able to see around 40 mpg from this 2-litre turbocharged petrol engine. So you will be able to use it for longer drives and not see the fuel gauge rapidly diminish. It does feel punchy, but because all of the torque is delivered quite low down, you end up driving it a little bit more conservatively. You don't tend to rev it right to the top of its limit because the rewards just aren't there to be found. Instead, you shift up a little bit earlier and you use all of that torque to aid your progression. But again, that goes against the usual spirit of the hot hatch. It's not promoting a more involved way of driving. Instead it's saying, use that torque, don't rev the engine, drive it like a grown-up, which is what hot hatches aren't usually meant to say. Yet again, the Polo GTi does feel like a mini Golf GTi, which will definitely appeal to people who like all the traits of the Golf, but don't want a car that's, well, quite that large. This Polo does feel quite small on the road, but it's got that grown-up sense of refinement. This latest generation of Volkswagen Polo GTi feels like it continues where its predecessor left off. It's powerful, it's really well made inside, it's actually surprisingly comfortable, but it just doesn't bring that level of engagement that you might be expecting from a hot hatch. Cars like the Fiesta ST or the Hyundai i20N just give a little bit more sparkle, particularly on country roads like the ones we've been on today. However, if you are after a car that brings a little bit of extra performance, but without forsaking that overall refinement or comfort, then the Polo GTi might be well worth putting on your list. Thank you for watching this motors.co.uk new car review on the Volkswagen Polo GTi. Now, if you have enjoyed this video, please give us a like below and let us know what you think of this car in the comments section. Plus, while you're here, please remember to subscribe to the motors.co.uk YouTube channel, hitting that bell icon so you're notified every time we upload a new review.